You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.
Hey, good afternoon to you all. Welcome to the new. I'm your host, Randy&April. Man, it has been a crazy week, but we've gotten through it. I think it's only Friday. Happy Friday, happy Red Friday. Remember, everyone deployed Friday. We wear red, wear red. Yeah, we wear red on Fridays to honor our men and women who are serving overseas, protecting our nation, or those who are actually away from home. They may be on the home front, on the home soil still, but they're away from home nonetheless, serving missions and everything else around the country or around the world. So we salute you every Friday. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for your commitment, and keep doing what you do. So. Some slight breaking news. It's kind of old now since it happened yesterday. I guess yesterday's news is old news. President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump has been diagnosed or contracted the coronavirus, and are we send our thoughts and prayers out to the family, um, to the first family, and a speedy and safe and healthy recovery. And I find it, once again, not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but I just can't help but to pay attention to the timing of it all. We're on the cusp of an alleged vaccine coming out a couple of days after the debates, a disastrous debates, which I will talk about later on. And yeah, yeah, it just something in the milk ain't clean. But one of his top advisors, what's her name? Just had it. Hope, you know what I'm talking about. She was diagnosed with it first. From apparently one of his top advisors was traveling with him out there in Minnesota, and contracted the virus. And so, yeah. But in other news, Senator Mike Lee out of Utah also just came out just moments ago and said that he too has contracted the coronavirus. So, once again, our thoughts and prayers to him and his family on a speedy recovery and everything else. But today, more importantly, well, I ain't gonna say more importantly, but more importantly, I plan on doing a deep dive into the Platinum Plan presented by President Trump. And I'm also going to get into a deep dive with um, former Vice President Joe Biden's Lift Every Voice plan for Black America. And we're gonna tear both of them apart. And I've done a preliminary review of both plans, and I'm a little bit more leery to destroy Biden's plan more so, but that's just me. But yeah, that's what we're gonna do today. So kick back, stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're gonna jump to a quick, quick commercial break, and we're gonna get right into it. So stay tuned.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.
If you're looking to have some blacksmithing work done, check out veteran owned and operated Old Emerald Coast Forge, located out of Louisiana. They complete any kind of blacksmithing work that you're looking to have done, from making personal knives, kitchen knives, costume era swords, uh, furniture out of metal. Any blacksmithing work you're looking to have done, veteran owned and operated Old Emerald Coast Forge. You can find them on Facebook at Old Emerald Coast Forge, or you can follow them on Instagram at Old Emerald Coast Forge. Once again, blacksmithing work done, no task too tough for these guys. Check them out. Once again, Old Emerald Coast Forge out of Louisiana, veteran owned and operated. You'll find them on Facebook at Old Emerald Coast Forge. You can follow them on Instagram at Old Emerald Coast Forge.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.
All right, welcome back. So, like I said, it was a short commercial break. Um, had to get reset here. So, I have both the platinum plan and the lift every voice plan. Now, I will provide some criticism here real quick, because the lift every voice plan from the uh, Biden's camp, their website is trash, horrible, garbage. Whoever is the designer for that, whoever put this crap together, you need to. Never mind. It was not condensed. It was not consolidated. It was not a simple two pager like most people in America like these days. We want something short, simple, straight to the point. bullet format. You can throw in a couple of paragraphs, to explain some complicated things. But this mess, 14 pages of printing, and I had to cut it off at like page 12. I was like, okay, I get the point. So, but anyways, all right, let's jump right into it here. Now, folks, if you have not looked at the Platinum Plan, I encourage you to go to the DonaldTrump.com, the president's website, and do a comparison of for yourself. Don't take my word for it. I'm gonna run through it, but I'm not gonna cover everything because we'll be here all day. And this is only an hour-long show, but I plan on doing a deep dive and just plucking a few points from each one and talk about them. Now, um, Joe Biden on Biden, what is it called? JoeBiden.com /Black America. You can find his plan located there as well. So, without further ado, folks, I'm gonna just throw up here. Here's the one pager. It's actually two pages, but the one pager of the President Trump's Platinum Plan. They said clean, crisp, bullet points. Yeah. All right. Anyways, so the Platinum Plan. 4 points. The four major points: opportunity, security, prosperity, and fairness. And under the opportunity, by achieving historic employment levels for Black Americans as well as increasing access to capital for new businesses, President Trump has been committed to ensuring Black Americans can achieve the American dream. Security. By signing into law the celebrated First Step Act, President Trump has brought common sense criminal justice reform to the American people for the first time in decades, while ensuring that our streets and communities are safe for families and business owners. Prosperity. As the first president to provide long term funding to historically black colleges and universities, the administration continues to seek immediate and generational advancement for black Americans. Fairness, as demonstrated through his actions to initiate investment into opportunity zones as well as address health disparities, wage gaps, and necessary education reforms, President Trump works every day to advance a fair and just America for the black community. Joe Biden plan, Lift Every Voice plan. Joe Biden knows that African Americans can never have a fair shot at the American dream so long as entrenched disparities are allowed to quietly chip away at opportunity. He is running for president to rebuild our economy in a way that finally brings everyone along and that starts by rooting out systemic racism from our lives, our policies, our institutions, and our hearts. The mission is more important now than ever before as the health and economic impacts of COVID-19 have shined a light on and cruelly exacerbated the disparities long faced by African Americans. In 2020, Biden called on the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to collect more data regarding how COVID-19 is affecting communities, including breaking down its impact by race. All right, so we got that. Now, Biden's plan for Black America will, point one, advance the economic mobility of African Americans and close the racial wealth and income gaps. Okay. Point number two, expand access to high quality education and tackle racial inequality in our educational system. Number three, make far reaching investments in ending health disparities by race. Number four, strengthen America's commitment to justice. Okay. Five, make the right to vote and the right to equal protection real for African Americans. And point number six, address environmental justice. All right. So back to Trump's plan, the Platinum Plan. Under Black economic empowerment and access to capital. Well, first I'll just go through the points. Black economic empowerment and access to capital, more education opportunities, better and cheaper health care, safety and justice. Yep, yep, that's it. Okay, so under the Black economic empowerment and access to capital piece. Now, these are just some of the points, and not all of them. Like I said, I want you to go back and read and look at the stuff yourself. I'm just going to do a general deep dive into what these are, my analysis on them, and where I think some of these things should go in certain directions. So, under the Black economic empowerment and access to capital, President Trump will seek infrastructure funding that will lead to widespread growth in, in the annual 500 billion federal federal contracting opportunities. Okay, Joe Biden, his plan. I'm gonna do this. Doubling for the double funding for state small business credit initiative. The Biden the Obama Biden administration created the State Small Business Credit Initiative (SSBCI) to support small businesses, driving 10 billion dollars in new lending for each 1 billion dollars in SSBCI funds. Biden will extend the program through 2025. Y'all caught that right. Okay. And double its federal funding to 3 billion dollars, driving close to 30 billion dollars of private sector investments to small businesses, all told, especially those owned by women and people of color. Okay. Now, in comparison to the two points there, we're talking 500 billion and close to 30 billion. Anyways, uh, under the platinum plan, invest almost 20 billion toward broadband and internet access to create job opportunities, improve classroom connectivity, and the ability to utilize telehealth services. That's under the platinum plan. Now, I did see it was something addressed a little later about that, so I want to actually jump to that and draw a side by side comparison. So bear with me 1 second while I find that. Like I said, it was 14 pages. Okay, here we go. Bring broadband to every American household. As president, Biden will close the digital divide. First, he will invest 20 billion in rural broadband infrastructure. He will triple funding to expand broadband access in rural areas and ensure that the work of installing broadband provides high-paying jobs with benefits. He will encourage competition among providers to increase speeds and decrease prices in urban, suburban, and rural areas. Biden will also work with the FCC to reform its Lifeline program, increasing the number of participating broadband providers, reducing fraud and abuse, and ultimately offering more low income Americans the subsidies needed to access high speed internet. Finally, Biden will work with Congress to pass the Digital Equity Act to help communities tackle the digital divide. Now, I'm gonna go back to the platinum plan, folks, because this is key. Invest almost 20 billion towards broadband and internet access to create job opportunities, improve classroom connectivity, and the ability to utilize telehealth services. Going back to the Biden plan, same amount, 20 billion, but this is going to be spread across a much wider spectrum of areas, so to speak. and it doesn't really address the true problem of, we're in this new era of going doing homeschooling and everything else, and people, even myself, I got just had a phone call. That's why I jumped to commercial break really quick, just to be transparent. Was because of a confirmation for my appointment that's going to be through telehealth next week. But more and more doctors are going towards doing just video based, internet based consultations if they don't need to do actual physical exam on you or anything. And schools are actually encouraging kids to be at home to do schooling. I know around here that is the case. Now they do have physical face-to-face classes going on, but as we see with COVID, and as more cases are increasing, they're saying, hey, you know what? Let's just keep kids at home, do school through Zoom and whatever platforms that they're utilizing. So I think that the concentration should be more on the urban areas because we all know that there is disparities within urban communities on having the ability to have access to the internet. A lot of kids have to go to the libraries at either at school or an actual physical, you know, dedicated library type facility to utilize the internet. So to increase access and opportunities for communities to have affordable internet services is very, very vital in these up and coming trying times. Not to say that the rural areas don't need it or and what have you. Yes, take care of them as well. But I think there should be a somewhat even spread, but a more focal spread to those in the communities that in the urban communities that actually will be utilizing this more and more. Farm areas, what have you. Yes, there's a need for internet. Of course, I got that. But they're on the farm most of the time working. So y'all get my point. Don't try to trap me into something to say something crazy. But anyways, and I think about also before I move on, I also think about places like Alaska where it's so vastly large landmass wise, but also the remote areas and those children that need to have access to the internet for schooling and everything else, and the parents access to doctors and what have you to have those consultations. So it's very, very critical, and not to just relegate it to just urban areas, but to even remote areas like that that have those little communities. So, all right. Anyways, let's jump to back to the platinum plan, fueling access to capital for black owned businesses. And one of the points there is to increase the number of black owned contracting businesses, financial services entities, and private equity investment funds through regulatory reform and up to 40 billion dollars in government funding alongside traditional private investments. Now, under Biden's plan, like I said, his jumped around a bit. So at the okay, I think this is it. Improve and expand the small business administration programs that most effectively support African American owned businesses. The small business administration programs have been and remain one of the most effective ways of accessing capital for African American owned businesses. Biden will strengthen these existing programs by ensuring the SBA has the funding it needs to support African American owned businesses and others to in the current crisis and beyond. Trump has once again proposed massive cut of 25% in the SBA budget for FY 2021, including a 35% cut in funding to small business development centers, a 20% cut to the SBA microloan program, and significantly increases fees for a 7 alpha loan, which provides capital for startups and growing small businesses located particularly in particularly underserved communities through seed DFIs, and other mission-driven lenders. Has has been run as a pilot program since 2011. Biden will make this program permanent and reverse rules enacted by the Trump administration that are making it more difficult for lenders to participate in the program and to lend African American owned businesses and other businesses located in underserved communities. That was a mouthful. And when one is reading that, you really don't know what you're extrapolating from that. So, in other words, they're planning on to funnel more money into the Small Business Administration, and versus under the Trump plan, they're investing, they're increasing the number of black-owned contracting businesses, entities financial service entities, and private equity investment funds through regulatory reform, and up to 40 billion in government funding alongside traditional private investment. So that one is kind of cut and dry. That one was like a mouthful to say that, hey, we're going to give more money to the small business SBA, Small Business Administration, to divvy out to these businesses. So what that price tag looks like, it did not say. So I'm kind of analyzing both of these plans in a qualitative and a quantitative perspective. Like who's actually throwing numbers, who's putting price tags on things. And so, and even as you go through and you read Vice President Biden's plans, there are a lot of price tags being thrown out there, and as well as under President Trump's plan. President Trump's plans has a little bit, and like I said, you go back and read for yourself, has a little bit more direct. Like, hey, we want to put 500 billion here, we want to put 20 billion there, we want to put 40 billion there. Where is that money coming from? Either through taxes or through cuts of other areas, and to try to streamline where money is going. We already know that Vice President Biden plans to increase taxes and expand not only these, I guess you could say, welfare programs, but also looking at supporting elements of the Green New Deal and other crazy astronomical projects like the climate stuff related to climate control, climate change. Getting back into, he even mentioned during the debates that he was going to, they plan to get back into the the Paris Climate Accord. So we already see under the Democratic nominee that there's a plan to do a whole lot of spending on a whole lot of nothing. But we also see under the Trump administration that there's plans to be a whole lot of spending, but also a whole lot of cutting. Now, to caveat on some of the cuts that Biden points out in the small business arena, yes, those percentages kind of make sense to get cut, because if they're being underutilized, or they're being um, overutilized, in a sense that where they're not really being effective, but they're just constantly shelling out money, but there's no effect to it, no impact, then yes, reduce it or get rid of it altogether, streamline it, and move that pot of money into something else. So, all right, I just said a mouthful. All right, moving right along, folks. Education opportunities. And after this segment, we're gonna jump to a short break because I know you need one, and I need one too. More education opportunities. Under the Platinum Plan, the increase in child tax credits. Most people love that. Increase in child tax credits and provide greater access to quality preschool. Now, this is a game changer in a sense. I'm gonna just speak. I'm gonna stop right there and speak on that for a minute. That's a game changer because as more and more parents are going back to work, despite COVID, as things are opening up and everything else, we're looking at seeing how is it that um, when your child reach preschool age versus paying for daycare, that saves money for parents in the long run. If your child is it comes of age to where they're able to go to preschool versus going to daycare because of locality and everything else, then hey, that's gonna be tremendous right there. So and let me find Biden's piece on the similar somewhere. They were not matching up. I spent a few hours digging through this stuff. Okay, his plan didn't exactly address. It did address education, but not in the for the younger folks. So I'm gonna jump to the beginning of it. Uh, Expand access to high quality education and tackle racial inequality in our education system. As president, Biden will ensure that no child's future is determined by their zip code, parents' income, race, or disability. Biden will build an education. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I, yeah, Biden will build an education system that starts with investing in our children at birth and helps every student get some education beyond a high school diploma, whether a certification, associate's degree, or a bachelor's degree. You don't need nothing else. Provide higher quality universal pre-kindergarten for all 3 and 4 year olds. For families with young children, finding high quality pre-K is a major financial, as I was saying, piece. And then it goes into some bullet points here, including in the COVID-19 response and immediate cancellation of a minimum of $10,000 in federal student loan debt. Okay, it jumps. Yeah, I guess okay. Forgiving all undergraduate tuition-related federal student debt from 2 and 4 year public colleges for debt holders earning up to 125,000. This will also apply to individuals holding federal student loans for tuition from private HBCUs and MSIs. And then forgiving loan payments for individuals making 25,000 or less per year, and capping loan payments at 5% of discretionary income for those making more. Now, I have a problem with that piece. The problem I have is, why relegate student loan debt to those that make only 25,000? Why not 50,000? Most average urban or even rural households, if you want to look at the income earning scale in these kind of communities, both rural and urban, they're making about 50,000. Nobody's really making 25,000. 25,000 is, you're like literally a high school kid with a job. Okay, you're not really incurring student loan debt. For those that's making 50,000 in these areas, yes. If I'm going to college or I went to college and I accumulated student loan debt, however, I am now part of the working society, but I'm struggling to pay my bills and a student loan. Why not eliminate that for me? Why put me in the threshold of knowing that I make more than 25,000? So that's just my my perspective on it. But anyways, like I said, I promised to take a pause for the cause. So that's what we got going on. Like I said, we're gonna do a and deep dive through this and pick apart both plans. Folks, stay tuned. We'll be right back after our extended break.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com. You are listening. You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.
If you're looking to have some blacksmithing work done, check out Old Emerald Coast Forge, veteran owned and operated, located out of Louisiana. You can find their work done on Facebook and on Instagram, from swords, knives, kitchen knives, furniture rails, you name it, they do it. No task too tough for these guys. Blacksmithing work done by Old Emerald Coast Forge, veteran owned and operated. You can check them out on Facebook at Old Emerald Coast Forge, or you can follow them on Instagram at Old Emerald Coast Forge. Hey, welcome back from our extended break. All right, that was Richard Marks, by the way. A little throwback for you. Flashback Friday to the 80s with Right Here Waiting for You. So, like I said, if you're just now tuning in our last 20 minutes of the show, we're doing a deep dive breakdown of the Platinum Plan presented by President Trump for Black America. And we're doing a breakdown of the Live Their Voice plan for Black America by Vice President Joe Biden. Now, I was able to marry up some of the topics and yeah, some of the points because, like I said, the one that's on Biden's page, it kind of bounces all over the place a little bit, and so I was able to kind of pluck and pull so I can be a little quicker in referencing which is which. So, all right, hopefully I did a good job during that break to present to you cheaper, better, and cheaper healthcare. This is going to the Platinum Plan. One of the points is investments into the causes and cures of kidney disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, sickle cell disease, maternal mortality, and other diseases that disproportionately affect African American populations. And so, over to Biden's plan, because tackling social detriments of health, because racial health disparities are the result of years of systemic inequality, not only in our healthcare system, but across our economy. Other parts of Joe Biden's agenda are also necessary to improve the overall well being of African Americans. For example, African Americans are more likely to face exposure to air pollutants that cause respiratory illnesses that make them particularly vulnerable to COVID 19. And that was, yeah, that was that. We're just gonna look into it from both of them. Actually, you know, the platinum plan says they want to invest into it. They just said, yeah, look into it. Okay, but some other point outs from the on healthcare is lowering drug prices. This is under Biden's plan by allowing Medicare to negotiate with drug prices and stopping drug companies from price gouging on new drugs. Well, we already know that President Trump had passed a price lowering bill just a couple months ago, so no need to really address it too much there. Um, Reducing our unacceptability, our Unac- it should be reducing our unacceptable high African American maternal mortality rate. African American women are 2.5 times more likely to die from pregnancy complications than non Hispanic white women. California came up with a strategy that halved the state's maternal death rate. The Biden plan takes the California strategy nationwide. What was it? Okay. All right. So, but also a little bit more alarming to me, just me. is Biden's approach on abortion. It was carefully crafted, and here it is. Expanding access to reproductive health care, including contraception and protecting the constitutional right to choose. Biden supports repealing the Hyde Amendment. He will also restore funding for Planned Parenthood, which provides services necessary to address health disparities, including breast cancer screenings, and HIV and AIDS counseling, screening, and treatment. The breast cancer death rate is over 40% higher for African Americans than white women, and in 2016, African American women comprised 60% of new HIV cases. Over to uh, Trump's plan in regards to that. Deliver real price transparency so you know the cost before the care is received. Opportunity to be in charge of your own health care and choose your own doctor. And increase access to telemedicine and innovate technologies to empower patients with flexibility and tools for better health. Public private partnership to develop healthcare facilities in low income areas and defend religious freedom exemptions to respect religious believers and always protect life. So I see that there is a case to expand access to abortions, access to basically the reestablishment of Planned Parenthood, specifically towards the African American communities. And we already discussed this a long time ago how Planned Parenthood has been traditionally targeted towards African American communities, and they kind of, I guess you could say, showcase in a sense that hey, birth control is, abortion is a form of birth control. I would digress there for now. Let's jump into safety and justice. So, uh, under the Biden plan, I will start there first. The strengthening America's commitment to justice. Today, too many people are incarcerated in the United States, thanks to you, and too many of them are African Americans, thanks to you and Harris. But anyways, to build safe and healthy communities, we need to rethink. Oh, really? Who we're sending to prison, how we treat those in prison, and how we help them to get the health care, education, jobs, and housing they need to successfully rejoin society after they serve their time. As president, Biden will strengthen America's commitment to justice and reform our criminal justice system. So, point one, we can and must reduce the number of people incarcerated in this country while also reducing crime. Reducing the number of incarcerated individuals will reduce federal spending on incarceration. These savings should be reinvested in the communities impacted by mass incarceration. Now, over to Trump's plan, under the Platinum Plan, continue to make historic improvements to the criminal justice system through common sense actions like the First Step Act, include increased use of drug rehabilitation versus drug incarceration. Announce a national clemency program to unite families and invest in human potential, focusing on wrongful prosecution and rehabilitation. Over to back to Biden's plan. Our criminal justice system cannot be just unless we root out racial, gender, and income based disparities in the system. African American mothers and fathers should feel confident that their children are safe walking the streets of America, and when a police officer pins on that shield and walks out the door, the officer's family should know that they'll come home at the end of the day. Additionally, women and children are uniquely impacted by the criminal justice system, and the system needs to address their unique needs. Jumping back over to the Platinum Plan. I'm looking to marry up those two. Restore safety to America's great cities by working with police departments. community leaders, and mental health professionals, and accountable models of policing, including diversity training and accreditation standards. Folks, like I said, you can go and read this stuff yourself and do a comparison. I'm kind of giving you a breakdown of what to look for. Once again, quantitative information. And so far, with the Trump's platinum plan, he's providing that. Under Biden's plan, he's providing a little of that, but it's more of a if you vote for me, we'll do something. So, and you see, I'm reading verbatim. I'm reading it verbatim. You can kind of see it there. All right, but let's continue on with safety and justice here. Reform under Biden, the reform sentencing. Biden will work with Congress to reform federal sentencing and provide incentives to state and local systems to do the same. He would end once and for all the federal crack and powder cocaine disparity that he implemented, decriminalize the use of cannabis, and automatically expunge all prior cannabis use convictions and end all incarceration for drug use alone and instead divert individuals to drug courts and treatment. He will work to eliminate mandatory minimums in the death penalty. Folks, just go back and you can Google 94 crime bill Biden speech. I would just leave it at that. What he's saying is, I will repeal what it is that I implemented. I helped write. Okay. Now, we already kind of addressed what President Trump has said about that. But the to revisit it a little bit, there is to announce a national clemency program to unite families and invest in human potential, focus on the wrongful prosecution and rehabilitation. And he also is also talking about implementing what's called a Second Step Act. So there we are with that. And so let's talk about prospering Black communities. Here we are right here. So under the prospering of Black communities, under the Biden plan, and I'm gonna end it here after this. Expand African American home ownership and access to affordable, safe housing, help families buy their first homes and build wealth by creating new, refundable, advanceable tax credit up to $15,000, tackle racial bias that leads to homes in communities of color being assessed by appraisers below their fair value. Now, over to Trump's plan under the Platinum Plan, uh, champion federal policy reforms to advance home ownership initiatives, make partner with local leaders in Black communities to ensure maximum federal support for neighborhood revitalization. And then it goes on to talk about some other things. But the other things I want to point out also is President Trump is planning on making Juneteenth a national holiday, prosecute KKK and Antifa as terrorist organizations, and make lynching a national hate crime, and plans on to fuel the Black farmers and access to healthy foods to address food disparities. Folks, that is all the time I have. Thank you all for tuning in. And as you can see, there's a lot to digest there. So I encourage you to go back and do your research. We're just literally 1 month, 1 day away from the elections, and you have a decision to make, America. And I would tell you to utilize that decision. Utilize it wisely and prudently. You can find my book on Amazon, The New Now Equipped with Wisdom. You can download that, check it out. You can follow me on Twitter at rperm, Pinterest, LinkedIn, all that good stuff. You can type my name. You can jump onto the YouTube channel there, and you can catch this show for future reference and to go back and forth and kind of get the tidbits I discussed today and in the past. Um, Also, if you want to support my show, you can Cash at me $ rperm for US or PayPal rperm for US. And we will see you all on Monday, God willing. And God bless you all and thank you all once again. And we will see you all next week. Take care and God bless.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more